Welcome to Stories Junction. Let's begin today's story. I never imagined my marriage would end like this, but it did. Sophie was the woman I once believed was my perfect match. For nearly 5 years, we built a life together, two of them as husband and wife. In the beginning, everything felt like a dream. She was captivating, intelligent, and had this rare energy that could make anyone in a room feel like they were the most important person in the world. She had this way of laughing, of tilting her head just slightly as she listened, as if whatever you were saying was the most fascinating thing she had ever heard. It was impossible not to be drawn to her. We met at a mutual friend's engagement party in Chicago. I wasn't even supposed to be there. My friend Matt had practically dragged me along, insisting I needed to get out more since I had been buried in work. I remember standing by the bar, nursing a drink when I first saw her. Sophie was at the center of a small group, laughing effortlessly, eyes bright, hands animated as she spoke. It wasn't just her beauty that caught my attention. Though she was beautiful, it was her presence. She carried herself like she knew exactly who she was and exactly what she wanted. At some point in the night, she wandered over to the bar beside me, ordering a glass of red wine. Our conversation started casually, comments about the party, jokes about the extravagant decorations. But before I knew it, we had been talking for an hour. When she looked at me, it felt like she saw straight through me, like I was the only one in the room. We started dating soon after. 3 years later, I proposed. At the time, it felt inevitable, natural, like this was exactly where my life was supposed to go. Looking back, I realized there were signs. Tiny, nearly invisible warnings that I brushed aside because I didn't want to see them. But they were always there. One particular moment still lingers in my mind. We had been together for about a year, having dinner at this small Italian restaurant Sophie loved. The lighting was dim, the atmosphere warm, the kind of place that felt intimate even when it was full. We were sipping wine, talking about movies when she suddenly asked, "If you could sleep with any celebrity, who would it be?" I laughed, thinking it was just a playful question. "I don't know," I said, taking a sip of my drink. "Maybe Scarlett Johansson?" I turned the question back on her, expecting a similar answer. But instead, she smirked, eyes gleaming with something I couldn't quite place. "Honestly," she said, stirring her drink lazily, "I don't think I need a celebrity hall pass. If I wanted someone badly enough, I could probably have them." She said it so matter-of-factly that something inside me twisted. I remember chuckling, assuming she was just joking, but there was no trace of humor in her voice. She truly believed it, and she wasn't wrong. Sophie was the kind of woman who could walk into a room and command attention without trying. She knew it. I should have paid attention to that moment, but I didn't. A year into our marriage, Sophie started to change. At first, it was subtle, so subtle that I convinced myself it was nothing. She started working late more often, glued to her phone at all hours, her messages becoming more vague and distant. Sophie was in advertising, and her firm had just landed a massive client. It made sense that she was busy. That's what I told myself, anyway. But the changes kept piling up. She stopped sharing the little details of her day with me. The same woman who used to talk endlessly about everything, her coworkers, what she ate for lunch, funny stories from the office, was now giving me one-word answers. One evening, she came home later than usual. I had made dinner, setting her plate down as she walked through the door. "How was work?" I asked, watching her kick off her heels. She barely looked up from her phone. "Busy. Same stuff." That was it. No details. No warmth. The worst part? She stopped being affectionate. No more spontaneous kisses. No more whispered, "I love you" before bed. She was still physically present, but emotionally, she had already left. I tried to ignore it. I told myself that marriages go through phases, that she was just stressed, that things would go back to normal. But then, one night, I reached for her hand while we were watching TV. Just a simple gesture, something I had done 100 times before. She flinched. It was barely noticeable, just the smallest shift, the briefest hesitation, but I felt it like a slap. "Sorry," she muttered, pulling her hand away. She shifted on the couch, suddenly focused on the screen. That's when I knew something was wrong, but I wasn't ready to face it. Not yet. For weeks, I lived in denial. I told myself Sophie was just overwhelmed with work, that maybe we had hit a rough patch like all couples do. I tried everything to reconnect with her, planning date nights, surprising her with little gifts, even just making more of an effort to talk. Nothing worked. She continued coming home late, always exhausted. When she did sit with me, her body was there, but her mind was somewhere else. I'd ask simple questions, asterisk, how was your day? Asterisk, what did you have for lunch? And get short, vague responses. I told myself it was temporary, that things would get better. But deep down I knew. And then came the night that shattered my illusions. It was a Thursday. Sophie had come home even later than usual, muttering something about back-to-back meetings. She barely glanced at me before heading straight to the shower. Her phone was on the couch. At first, I wasn't going to touch it. I wasn't the kind of guy who snooped through his wife's things. But then it buzzed. I glanced down. The name on the screen wasn't one I recognized. Lucas. Another buzz. My stomach tightened. I stared at the screen, my pulse hammering. Something told me I wasn't going to like what I found, but I couldn't stop myself. My hand moved on its own, picking up the phone. A message preview glowed on the screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last night was amazing. The breath left my lungs. My hands felt numb. I blinked, reading it again, hoping, praying that I had misunderstood. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe this was a coworker, a friend. But deep down, I knew better. My mind raced. Should I check more? Should I unlock the phone? Should I confront her right now? Before I could decide, the bathroom door creaked open. Sophie stepped out, a towel wrapped around her hair, her skin still damp from the shower. She rubbed her neck absent-mindedly as she walked into the living room. Then she saw me, and she saw her phone in my hand. She froze. For a moment, she didn't say anything. Her eyes darted between me and the phone, her mind clearly racing. Finally, she spoke. "Ethan, what are you doing?" I lifted my gaze to hers, my voice quiet. "Who's Lucas?" The color drained from her face. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she sighed, running a hand through her wet hair, forcing a casual smile, like I had just caught her sneaking an extra cookie from the jar. "Come on," she said lightly. "Lucas is just a friend from work." I held up her phone, turning the screen toward her. "Really? Work friends send messages like this?" Her smile twitched. I saw the flicker of panic in her eyes, just for a second, but then it was gone. She shifted tactics immediately. With a sharp inhale, she snatched the phone out of my hand and locked it. "You went through my phone?" she snapped. "That's a huge violation of trust." I almost laughed. Was she serious? I stood up, blood rushing in my ears. "Are you actually trying to turn this around on me right now? You're the one sneaking around." She rolled her eyes, folding her arms. In an instant, she shifted from guilt to annoyance. "It's not what you think, Ethan. You're overreacting. Overreacting." I stared at her, disbelief washing over me. "You've been lying to me for months, haven't you?" She exhaled sharply. Flopping onto the couch like this was just some petty argument over whose turn it was to do the dishes. "God, you are so dramatic," she muttered, rubbing her temples. "It's just harmless fun. It doesn't mean anything." I stopped pacing. My whole body felt like it was on fire. "Fun," I repeated, my voice shaking. "We built a life together. I married you because I trusted you. And you're telling me this is just fun?" She shrugged, as if this was all so trivial to her. "Look," she said, "it's not like I don't love you. But sometimes a woman needs a little excitement." Something inside me snapped, not in a violent way, not in an explosion of anger. It was quieter than that, colder, like something had just clicked into place. I stared at her, really seeing her for the first time without the illusion of love clouding my vision. And I realized the truth. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't going to stop. She had never planned to. Sophie thought she could get away with it. Worse, she thought I would just accept it. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay calm. If she wasn't going to admit the truth, I needed to find it myself. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me. I needed proof. Real proof. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. Hiring a private investigator wasn't something I had ever imagined myself doing. It felt surreal, like I was some character in a bad crime drama. But here I was, sitting in the dimly lit office of James Carter, an ex-cop turned investigator. He was in his mid-40s, rough around the edges, with sharp eyes that had probably seen the worst of people. He listened without interrupting as I told him everything. Sophie's late nights, the secrecy, the text from Lucas. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. "She's sloppy," he said, his tone flat. "If she's cheating, we'll find out quick." There was no sympathy in his voice, just certainty. I left his office feeling a strange mix of dread and relief. I didn't want to believe Sophie had been unfaithful, but deep down, I already knew. I just needed proof. And proof was exactly what James was going to get. Waiting was the worst part. Every evening, Sophie came home later than usual, throwing out the same tired excuses. Asterisk, had to stay longer at the office. Asterisk, went out for drinks with coworkers. Asterisk, traffic was terrible. Asterisk, at first, I responded with a nod and a forced smile, pretending to believe her. But inside, my muscles tensed with every word. Every instinct screamed that she was lying. The worst part? I had to act normal. I still made small talk over dinner. Still kissed her cheek before bed. Still watched TV with her like everything was fine. But my mind was somewhere else entirely. At night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, obsessing over where she really was. Was she with him right now? Was she sitting across from Lucas in some dimly lit restaurant, whispering to him the way she used to whisper to me? Was she laughing at my expense, telling him how clueless I was? The thought made my stomach turn. I hated how powerless I felt, how I had to sit there and wait while she was out doing God knows what. But I reminded myself, this was temporary. James was watching, gathering proof. I just had to hold on. For days later, my phone rang. James' voice was calm. Too calm. Asterisk, we got something. Can you meet at my office? Asterisk. A chill ran through me. My fingers tightened around the phone. My mouth went dry as I answered. Asterisk, yeah. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Asterisk. When I walked into James' office, he was already seated behind his desk. In front of him sat a manila folder, thick, slightly worn from handling. It looked innocent, just a collection of papers and photographs. But I knew whatever was inside that folder was about to change everything. James motioned for me to sit. His expression was unreadable. His voice even. Asterisk. You want me to just tell you? Or do you want to see it for yourself? Asterisk. My throat tightened. I swallowed hard. Asterisk, tell me. Asterisk. James exhaled, slow and measured. Asterisk. She's cheating. No doubt about it. Asterisk. Even though I had suspected it all along, hearing it out loud was something else entirely. The last shred of hope I had, the tiny part of me that had clung to the idea that maybe, just maybe I was wrong, was gone. James leaned forward and flipped open the folder. I saw photographs neatly stacked inside, and as he pulled a few out, I braced myself. There she was, Sophie, walking into a hotel with him, holding his hand outside a restaurant, fingers intertwined like it was the most natural thing in the world. Kissing him. The man, Lucas, I clenched my jaw as I stared at the photos. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. It wasn't some drunken lapse in judgment. This was something more. She had been lying to my face for months, coming home to me, acting like nothing was wrong, while she was out building a new life with someone else. James leaned back in his chair, letting me take it all in. I kept looking at the pictures, my pulse hammering in my ears. There it was. Proof. No more doubts. No more excuses. Sophie had been betraying me all along, and now there was no avoiding it. I had to confront her. That night, Sophie came home late again. Same routine. She tossed her keys on the counter, kicked off her heels, and barely spared me a glance. "You're up late," she muttered, heading toward the kitchen. I didn't respond. I didn't move. Instead, I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder. She stopped mid-step. I flipped it open, spreading the photos out on the dining table, making sure she could see every single one. For a few seconds, she just stared. No shock, no panic, just stillness. Then she sighed, not a guilty sigh, not a remorseful sigh, just annoyance, like I had caught her doing something mildly inconvenient. She crossed her arms and looked at me. Asterisk, okay, fine. Yes, I cheated. So what? Asterisk. I blinked. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. Asterisk, so what? Asterisk, I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. That was it. No apology? No attempt to explain? Just a casual confession, like she had forgotten to pick up groceries instead of shattering our marriage. She shrugged, completely unfazed. Asterisk, look, Ethan, it's not a big deal. It's just fun. It doesn't mean anything. Asterisk, I felt something inside me snap. Asterisk, fun? Asterisk, I repeated, my voice shaking. I had built a life with this woman. I had given her my trust, my loyalty, my future, and she called it fun. Asterisk, so what am I? Asterisk, I asked, my tone dangerously calm. Asterisk, just the stable, boring guy you keep around for security while you go off and entertain yourself with someone else? Asterisk, she exhaled sharply, like I was exhausting her. Asterisk, Ethan, don't be so dramatic. You act like I don't love you. Asterisk, I let out a bitter laugh. Love? Was this what love looked like? Lying, sneaking around, kissing another man like I didn't even exist? I stood up, pacing the living room, my fists clenched at my sides, trying to hold back the rage boiling inside me. Asterisk, you don't even feel bad, do you? Asterisk, I asked. She didn't answer. She just looked at me with mild irritation, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. And that's when I knew. She wasn't sorry. She didn't regret it. She had never planned to stop. She thought she could get away with it. And worse, she thought I would just accept it. A slow smirk spread across her lips. Asterisk, you'll never find someone like me again, Ethan. Asterisk, her voice was mocking, full of arrogance. Asterisk, let's be real. I was out of your league from the start. Asterisk, and just like that, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not sadness, just clarity. For the first time, I saw Sophie for who she really was. Not the woman I had fallen in love with. Not the woman I had planned a future with. Just a selfish, hollow stranger. And in that moment, I felt nothing for her. No love, no pain, just indifference. I turned away from her, walked into the bedroom, and grabbed a duffel bag. I threw in some essentials, clothes, my wallet, my phone charger. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I just took what I needed and walked to the door. Sophie didn't move. She didn't try to stop me. She just watched, curious, like she was observing a stranger going about their day. By the time I reached the door, she finally spoke. Asterisk, you're really leaving over this? Asterisk, she scoffed, shaking her head. Asterisk, God, Ethan, don't be such a child. Asterisk, I didn't answer. I didn't even look at her. I grabbed my bag, opened the door, and stepped out. No goodbyes. No last words. Just done. The next morning, I filed for divorce. No hesitation. No second-guessing. That same day, I went back to the house, packed up the rest of my things, and moved into a small apartment across town. It wasn't much, but was mine. And for the first time in months, I felt free. Sophie signed the divorce papers without a fight. No big dramatic scene. No attempt to win me back. She just signed, like our marriage had meant nothing. And maybe to her it never really had. Weeks passed. Then, out of nowhere, I got an invitation to my college reunion. I almost didn't go, but something in me said, why not? That's where I ran into Lena. We hadn't spoken in years, but that night, we talked for hours. At the end of the night, her friend pulled me aside and said something that stopped me in my tracks. Asterisk, you know Lena had a crush on you in college, right? Asterisk, I laughed. Asterisk, no way. Asterisk, asterisk, yeah. Asterisk, after everything with Sophie, hearing that felt like a sign. The next day, I messaged Lena. She replied immediately. Fast forward a year. Asterisk, asterisk, we're together. Asterisk, asterisk. And she treats me like I'm the only guy in the world. As for Sophie, she texted me once. Asterisk, I hope you know you'll never find someone like me again. Asterisk, I blocked her. Because she was right. I found someone better. I thought leaving Sophie would be the hardest part. I thought there would be nights of regret, moments of weakness where I'd wonder if I had made the right decision. But there weren't. Not even once. Instead, I felt lighter, like I had been holding my breath for years and was finally allowed to exhale. I settled into my new life quickly. My apartment was small, barely furnished at first, but it was mine, a place untouched by lies, by deceit, by memories of a woman who had never truly loved me. The silence in my new home didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I could think without second-guessing myself. I focused on work, on getting back into my old hobbies, on reconnecting with friends I had unknowingly distanced myself from during my marriage. And then, there was Lena. After our college reunion, Lena and I kept in touch. At first, it was casual, friendly check-ins, texts here and there asterisk. But something about our conversations felt different. She was easy to talk to, genuine, kind. She asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. She never made me feel small, never treated me like I was just some background character in her life. She made me feel like I mattered. One night, a few weeks after the reunion, I asked her out for dinner. Just dinner. No expectations, no pressure. She smiled and said, asterisk, I thought you'd never ask. Asterisk. Then I was the first time in years I had laughed so hard my stomach hurt. There was no tension, no walking on eggshells, just good food, good company, and something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Lena wasn't like Sophie. She didn't play games. She didn't test my patience just to see how much I would take. She was real, and that scared me in the best way possible. Months passed, and Lena and I grew closer. One evening, as I was getting ready to meet her for dinner, my phone buzzed. A name I hadn't seen in months flashed across the screen. Sophie. For a split second, I considered ignoring it. But curiosity got the best of me. I opened the message. Asterisk. I hope you know you'll never find someone like me again. Asterisk. I stared at the words, waiting for some kind of reaction inside me. Anger. Sadness. Regret. But there was nothing. I didn't feel the urge to respond. I didn't feel the need to prove anything. Instead, I just laughed. Because for once, Sophie was right. I would never find someone like her again. And that was the best thing that had ever happened to me. I blocked her number, set my phone down, and left to meet Lena. When I saw her waiting for me at the restaurant, her eyes lighting up when she spotted me, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Happiness. Real. Simple. Happiness. And for the first time in years, I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be.